ChapStick is a great item to have in your survival kit, your bug out bag, or just in your vehicle for EDC. Always chap lips. It's just a great item to have. But with everything, I like to have multiple uses for whatever you use. And so, just getting you to think about these things. You're not going to remember them all, but it sure will get your mind thinking if you possibly need something and you just happen to have a tube of ChapStick. And of course, number one is to use it as a lip balm. But it also works well for chapped hands, just like where I got cut the other week. Right here, it just keeps this healing and it keeps it protected somewhat. And if your hands get rough and they get cut, you can use this. If you've been cut in the field, and of course this isn't much of one, but when you are cut somewhere, you can take a little bit, put it on there on a fresh cut. It'll actually stop the bleeding, but more importantly, it'll keep foreign matter out of it and it'll allow it to keep infection down. ChapStick can also be used as a fire starter. And what we're going to do is take your ChapStick and then take just a regular Q-tip, and we're going to show you a couple of different ways. One thing is to actually take this and pull it off of the stick itself. There we go. Just go ahead and fluff it out. Take a little bit of ChapStick and rub it into the fibers. Take a lighter or fire steel and it's going to burn. It's not going to burn just like your standard Q-tip. It's going to burn a lot longer, and that's really an accelerant to the fibers themselves. And this is very similar to using a cotton ball with Vaseline. Found some dried bark. This is off of a cedar tree. This stuff just pulls loose. Even if it's wet, you can let it dry out. Make a nice little nest. Then take that juniper bark, take your lip balm, get you a nice little dab of it, and rub it into the fibers. The fibers themselves will burn, but they'll burn really quickly. And so the ChapStick's going to give you a little more time to be able to catch larger tinder on fire. You light it, it's going to catch up quickly, and it's going to burn for a longer period of time. That's a pretty good little fire going. In fact, that's a nice little fire. That thing's been burning for a good while. Now while that's still burning, we're going to set that to the side. And we're going to take our ChapStick, we're going to open it up, take your Q-tip that was left over, and we're going to cut it about 1/3 down. There's some in the lid. I'm going to get this thing soaked with some of this ChapStick. And then I'm going to take it and turn the ChapStick up some and go ahead and place it into the ChapStick. We're going to kind of push it up against it, pushing it out a little bit. Now we're just going to light it. Now as the ChapStick starts to burn, which it will, you can start pushing this out. So it's a ready-made torch, and that'll keep the plastic from the tube from melting. This tube was used quite a bit beforehand, so there's not a whole lot in here. But as you can see, that's a long burning fire. And one of the big things about fire starting is your initial tinder, the longer it burns, the better your chances are of getting larger tinder burning. So it's really important to know these different ways. And of course, ChapStick has made this really easy by putting this little piece on here. Now you can see we're really down to the bottom already. But you get the idea. And this will burn, obviously, for a good while. And if you have a full ChapStick, it's really going to burn for a long time. Now, of course, fire is not the only thing that ChapStick's good for. And let's just take this little small Olight S10 baton flashlight. Incredible little light. One of the things about aluminum is that it can gall. Right around here, the threads. And really, if you have some silicone, that's the best stuff to put on it. But if you're out in the field and you need something expedient, you can put your ChapStick on here, and this is not only going to protect your threads, but it's also going to make it a little more waterproof. And you can tell immediately that this is working in those threads. Makes it really nice, And anytime you have to change your batteries out too, that's going to help protect those threads. It'll give you a long-lasting light. I'm going to tell you what, man, this little S10 O-Light is excellent. I've got a titanium version and this one, and these are fantastic. But also your carbon steel knives, and they need to be protected, and if you're camping for a few days, this edge can rust. So you want to be really careful, but if you need to, you can just add a little bit of ChapStick to the end, and that's going to help protect it. We were camping this weekend, and it was raining, and I'll tell you what, it would have been nice to have this for those knives. And it's also good for tools, for friction. Now this is just a little clamp, and I just happen to have one close by. But right here, there's some friction going. Take my ChapStick, lube that up just a little bit. It's going to smooth that out. And of course, obviously that goes with any kind of tool. Even with screws that you're screwing into wood, that's going to help lube that and give you a little more lubricity to be able to cut better. Just an excellent item. If you have a gear that's binding somewhat, this little screw, we can take some of this Lip Balm, put on there. It's just going to help with the lubricity again. The sky's the limit on mechanical things, being able to just anything that could use a little bit of help with lube, this is going to work well. Now if you've ever been shooting or you've been out in the rain and you've had on glasses, even reading glasses or lenses for your camera, take just a touch of ChapStick, put it on, and smear it onto the glass. Now you'd think, man, that's going to mess things up. But actually it's going to give a little layer of wax to your glasses. Then you take a standard cloth, and you can just take a good clean cloth, polish that up. It's going to clean the glass, but it's also going to keep it from fogging up. You can see that's a really nice little shine. And if you're looking for excellent eye protection for shooting or for whatever you're doing, check out Bobster Eyewear. This is a set of Bobster Zulus. They are fantastic. I've done some tests on these with 22 and buckshot, and it defeats both. Now maybe I can actually hit my target. Now if you have a zipper that's giving you a hard time, and sometimes they just do, they get bound up a little bit, take a little bit of ChapStick, run that zipper back and forth. You're going to get longer wear on your zipper, and plus it's going to make it a little more water resistant. Also, if you want to protect your leather, again, you can just push it onto the leather, just spread it on, and then rub it in. This again is not only going to help protect the leather, it's going to make it somewhat more waterproof. This can also be done on leather shoes, but even canvas and different materials. And this will help not only to protect the leather or the canvas, but it'll also make it more water resistant. Now also, if you have an accident with your hand, especially with a ring finger, you can take ChapStick, put it around your finger, because if those fingers swell up, it's going to be really hard to take those rings off. And it makes it really easy. I tried to get this ring off yesterday and couldn't. But it makes it really easy to be able to get that ring off quickly before they have to cut it off. If you have drawers that are the old wooden type, you can actually put lube on them, especially on the bottom. Makes it a lot more slick. Makes that drawer open and close much more easy. And this works well on windows as well. Now if you have some kind of bag or a tent or anything like that, and you have a little pinprick, which happens, one of the good ways to be able to seal that, especially in the field, is just to take a little bit of your ChapStick, put it right there over it, and it's going to make it a nice little temporary fix. It's going to keep the water and the moisture from coming through. Now one thing too, when you finish with your ChapStick, you can take and pull this little cap off. You can see it's a little bitty screw that pulls in. You want to cut that stem off. Clean out all the leftover ChapStick that's in here. And just pull out the cap that pushes the ChapStick up. Clean this out really well. And once you have it cleaned out, you can replace your cap. Roll up some cash by folding it. stuff it in here and you've got a great hideaway. And this is what I call my stash money. I can hide it in here, my wife can't find it, then I'll go out and buy more ammunition and guns. You can also put a small survival kit in here as well. There's some online, you can look on YouTube, and there are different ways to be able to actually put little small items in here for a little tiny survival kit. And I do mean tiny. Now, a couple of other uses for lip balm or chapstick is corrosion on car batteries. You can also put this on areas like in extreme temperatures. You can put it on your face, on your hands, and it will protect from wind and water. And then also, if you have a hot spot while you're hiking, especially on your heel or your foot, you can place some of this on there and help relieve some of the pain and get you home. And then one last thing you can do is if you have a campfire and you have ash in the campfire, you can actually mix some of this in with it and put it under your eyes, especially if you're in a snow or desert survival situation. It'll keep your eyes from getting too much sun, snow blindness, that kind of thing. And you can also use that in a camo situation instead of using mud. You can put this in the ash, put it on your face, break down the shininess of your face. So I hope this just gets your mind working on one of the EDC items you carry every day. A lot of multiple uses. Redundancy is very important. Being able to adapt will lead you to survival. Now, down in the comments below, if you know of any other way to use chapstick, please leave it down there and help other viewers to see it. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. And if this video chaps your hide, you can smear some of this on your rear end.